So right now, they want everyone focused on the public debate about AI. They want you to focus on whether AI is going to take your job. They want you to focus on whether students should use ChatGPT or whether AI should be able to make art or whether it's going to surpass human intelligence. Those are not conversations about the infrastructure we're building to make the AI possible in the first place. They want the public conversation to be heavily centered around AI itself so that you do not talk about the infrastructure, about our privacy, about governance, and about our constitutional right to privacy. So we need to have a conversation about data centers. They are not building data centers for AI. They actually love that we're arguing about AI right now because it distracts from the fact that the data centers is them building the infrastructure that's required to establish and maintain a digital surveillance state. I'm talking about a society where nearly everything you do leaves a digital footprint that can be collected by the government, stored by the government, analyzed, and used against you. They already know where you drive, flock cameras. They want to know who you associate with, what you buy, what you search, what you post online, what your face looks like, how you move through your own city. Hello, is that not terrifying? I completely understand why people are worried about the environmental impact. That is, I feel like, the vast majority of the conversations I've heard. I've even spoken on it. Data centers use an enormous amount of electricity, enormous amounts of water. Those conversations absolutely matter. But what kind of infrastructure are we actually building? Let's think outside the box. Because once this level of computing exists, it doesn't just make better chatbots. It makes entirely new forms of large-scale data analysis, automation, and surveillance technology possible too. Let me make my case. Here's why I think data centers are for surveillance. So we've been being surveilled for years, right? The government, you can't do anything quietly now. What's missing from all of that though? Processing power. Collecting data has never been the hard part. We've been collecting ridiculous amounts of information for years. The hard part is analyzing billions of license plate scans, faces, financial transactions, security camera feeds, phone locations, online activity, personal connections, just fast enough to actually use all of it. That's where AI comes in. AI doesn't just generate pictures and answer your homework questions, okay? It can recognize patterns, connect separate databases, identify faces, map relationships between people, analyze behavior, automate decisions on a scale that no human workforce could ever match. But none of that happens without an enormous amount of computing power. And that's exactly why they need the data centers to create a surveillance state successfully, bigger than what we have already. And we don't have to imagine whether surveillance systems can be abused because we've already seen it happen. We've seen documented cases. There was a case in my city where an LMPD police officer used a flock camera to stalk his ex-girlfriend, I think over 300 times. There's reports of stalking, misuse of sensitive databases, innocent people being stopped or investigated because of incorrect or outdated information. The technology itself isn't inherently corrupt, but it's operated by human beings, managed by institutions, and it's vulnerable to the same corruption, the same negligence, the same bias, and the same abuse that every institution is vulnerable to.